I've been a member at Omaha Country Club for over 50 years now. Played my first round here in the summer of 1963. So I know the course about as well as anybody. I think the thing that makes it special for me is that I love the old-fashioned parkland courses. I love the trees and the hills. And this is really a shot maker's course. It's not a hitter's course. You have to be able to control the golf ball right, left, and keep it in the fairway. If you're in the trees, you're not going to shoot a good number. And that's really the way that I grew up learning how to play golf. Today there's a lot of courses that I think the main objective is to hit the ball a long way. And the long hitters are rewarded. This golf course rewards the shot makers and the short, straight hitters. The original course was built in 1927. There was a major renovation in the mid-50s when they got Perry Maxwell to come out and redo 8 of the greens and move a bunch of the greens too. For example, number 5 and 6 were both par 4 holes. They changed them to a par 3 and a par 5. He redesigned 8 of the greens and made them, in his typical architectural style, very undulating and very, very difficult, especially once the Stimpmeter readings got up over 10. So that made it difficult. Then, since the original design was meant for hickory shafted clubs, which a good drive was maybe 200 yards, 225 yards, the course probably only measured a little over 6,000 yards. So they decided to add length to it by building a whole bunch of new tees. I could go through the whole course, but suffice it to say probably 9 or 10 holes have been lengthened through the addition of additional, especially blue tees, championship tees. Then in the 90s, they had a complete renovation of the golf course, which included redoing all the bunkers and switching to bent grass. And probably the biggest renovation at that time was the idea that they wanted the 10 new greens to be designed in the same way that Maxwell had designed the 8 greens in the middle 50s, so that you have a uniform type of green with undulations on all 18 holes. And they completed that. It took a year to complete that, and I think they did a wonderful job because the greens look like they've been here since day one. I think this week in the State Amateur Championship, some of the less experienced players are going to have real difficulty with the undulations and the greens. If they get the Stimpmeter reading up to 11 or 12, which they're hoping to do, you absolutely must keep the ball on the correct side of the green. Now, for the people that aren't really familiar with this course, they'll get the general idea, well, just keep it short of the pin. That's not always the correct side either, because short can have a lot of bend one way or the other. So local knowledge would be really important out here. You're going to see some 4-putts out there this week from some really good players, and they're going to be scratching their heads. So it's going to be a fun tournament to watch. It really does. I was a little disappointed when they held the U.S. Senior Open out here that the weather didn't cooperate and they weren't able to get the green speeds up to what we play just week in and week out here at Omaha Country Club. But that is going to be the major problem for scoring is the putting and the undulations, dealing with that, and the speed, I think, if they get it up to where they want it. It was an experience I'll never forget. I helped run the driving range. The players were so friendly and so nice. It was just almost a shock to me that they could be in a major event and take time to really appreciate what all the volunteers were doing for them. But to have an event of that size and national TV here at Omaha Country Club and for the whole Omaha community, I think was just terrific. especially when you realize the year before it was at Riviera Country Club in Los Angeles, and they had more spectators here than they had in Los Angeles. So it speaks highly of how the Omaha community supports golf in general and supported that tournament. Well, it just shows that the membership supports the Nebraska Golf Association, and again, tournament golf, amateur golf. It's difficult to find country clubs that are willing to give up 4 days of their members' tee times for tournaments like this, and it shows the support that you really have from the total membership, that they're willing to do that 16 times out here at Omaha Country Club, and each one of those tournaments is really special because of the golf course and the history and the tradition. So, again, my hat's off to the membership and the support that they've given this tournament. I don't go back to Johnny Goodman era, but I can go back to Bob Astleford's last state championship out here that he won was in 1967. Won in a sudden death playoff against Charlie Borner, now a longtime pro here in Nebraska. And each one of those, again, was really special because of the unique character of this golf course. Again, it's a shot maker's course, and the long hitters don't always prevail. But those tournaments, 67, 79, 91, were all won by not only really fine players, but people that knew how to move the golf ball from side to side, and especially play the uneven lies. This is an unusual piece of ground here in Nebraska, very, very hilly. I remember one of the Senior Open participants said he had heard Nebraska was flat and dry and hot, and he said they didn't get the part right about flat. Very unusual piece of ground for a golf course here in Nebraska, very hilly, and you have to deal with the side hill, uphill, downhill lies, and that is problematic for a lot of the players that play flat golf courses.
Awesome. So, okay, so was the first one you played in 67?
1967, right.
And then how many do you think you've played in, or did you miss any within that stretch?
I played in every one of them.
Okay.
Yes, including the match plays that have been out here too. Unusual that you play in that many. I never won one out here because there are just some really fine players. So the home course advantage didn't help me, although I was in contention in two of them. But the better players won that could handle the pressure and handle the greens. That was pretty exciting for me because I was 51 at the time and had pretty much given up all hopes of beating the 25-year-old kids. So to win that meant a lot to me. To have my name on this trophy with the likes of Sam Reynolds and Johnny Goodman is just the high point of my career. And again, that was at Fremont Country Club where I won that, and that, like this course, kind of short and tight, and it was a shot maker's course and not a hitter's course, so it kind of gave me a little advantage. And my last shot at it, I finally, like you said, got the monkey off my back. Yeah, they call it the match play jinx. Nobody seemed to be able to win a second one, but I was able to do that in 1980. The one that'll always stick out in my mind is the first one, of course. It was the first state championship that I won. And in the finals, I beat Tom Siekman, who was our head teaching pro out here now and has been on the PGA Tour and won on the PGA Tour, and just an excellent, excellent player. And for me to win that one, which fairly close match. It was one up on 36 holes, so that was really a thrill and something that I just didn't think could happen because he was a lot better player than I was, but it was just my day that day. Driver and three-wood.
Driver and three-wood.
Were my wife's clubs, and I joked at the time that she liked those clubs so much that I had to marry her to get away from her. So yes, I actually used those for probably 15 years. They were McGregor Turney, Persimmon Woods, and I hit them very well for a long time. So yeah, I have to credit my wife with that victory. Okay, I have two favorite memories of matches that I played out here at Omaha Country Club in the club championship. The first one was for my first club championship in 1971. I beat the defending club champion in a 36-hole match, and that was my father. So I think to this day there's never been a father-son in the finals. My other great memory of winning a match out here in the club championship was in 1964. I played against Mr. Sam Reynolds, whose name is on this trophy 7 times. And the thing that was really amazing about that match is Sam and I had the exact same handicap. We played to the 18th hole. It was a 1-up victory. Although I shot 73 and he shot 72, but in match play I happened to win that day. But if you look at our careers, and this is an amazing fact, if you take the date that I won the state amateur championship and the date that he won the state amateur championship for the first time, there's 85 years between those two dates. Yet in 1964 we played a match against each other and we played exactly even. So it'll really show you that this game of golf just will last for a lifetime. So those are probably my two favorite memories of the 50 years I spent out here.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. If you go back and look at the records in the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s, when the NGA was first, and at that time the Nebraska Amateur Golf Association was first started, they had a championship flight and a first flight in the state amateur championship, so that if you didn't make the cut, you went into a first flight. And in 1967, at the age of 77, Sam Reynolds won the first flight. And I remember standing out here, and there must have been 500 people around the 18th green, and he got a standing ovation like you couldn't believe. 77-year-old, and as I recall, I shot 71 the last day. So, pretty amazing man. And when you look back at his career, and I don't have it memorized, but he won just about everything you can name. He won the Trans-Miss and a lot of big tournaments, and more importantly, he was just a real gentleman. I played a lot of golf with him because my father was a good friend of his, and they would get me to come along and tag along. And even when I was 18, 19 years old, I knew I was in the presence of somebody really, really important and a real gentleman. And I kept my mouth shut, and I listened a lot, and I learned a lot. He taught me, and another man who won a lot of tournaments here, Ben Cowdery, who's a 10-time club champion out here. They knew everything there was to know about the game. They played with Johnny Goodman, and you know, when you're up at that level, you're really soaring with the eagles, so to speak. And so I just listened and learned. I think I've had a lot of matches with Jack Deasing. Over a 30-year period, I think he and I split the club championship 27 times. So we kind of had a monopoly on it for a long time, and I always said that neither one of us would have played it if it wasn't for the other guy. We were so evenly matched that we played 20 matches against each other, and each of us won 10. So you couldn't get much more even than that, and that's over a 30-year span. And that's what really kept the club championship interesting for me, is to have somebody that were just absolutely equal, and any day it was just a matter of 1 or 2 putts or shots, and Really had a lot of fun. Jack's a great friend of mine, and just enjoy the game, and we enjoy competing against each other all these years. It'll be fond memories. I don't have any delusions that my home course advantage is going to save the day for me. Jack is still playing very good. He can shoot his age. I can't shoot mine, and we're the same age, so that'll show you that his game is still right up there. But seriously, it really will mean a lot, because when you go back, and I think that I've played in the 4 state AMs that have been out here since 1967, it's kind of fun just to compare the scores and the memories, and go through the course, look at the changes, and look at the players. With the depth of the field is so much better today than it was, say, 30, 40 years ago. Back then there were maybe 10 or 12 players that could win the tournament, and now there must be 30 or 40 that have a legitimate shot. That's one of the big changes, but it means a lot to me to come back. I'm sure this will be my last one, but I'm looking forward to every shot. You know, I really don't. Like I said, there are so many good players now that it just is very competitive. It's a little bit like the PGA Tour, where, you know, somebody can come out of the field and win one week. You have your favorites, of course, but I don't know who I dub as a favorite right now. And mainly because I don't know how they're going to handle the lies and the greens. You know, I haven't played enough golf with any of the younger fellas to know who has the mental toughness to get through something like that they're not used to. So it's going to be fascinating me just to watch it start to finish. It was wonderful. It really was. There was a group of guys, Larry, Tom Seekman, Dan Bahinsky, I mean, I could go on and on, Knox Jones, Dave Klaus, and we not only competed against each other, we were all great friends. We would sit down afterwards, we'd have a drink, and we'd tell jokes, and there was no animosity, no well, I did this better than you. It was just friendship, and that's probably the thing that I remember most about the state AM, and that is looking forward to just sitting down with those guys and telling jokes and having a good time. We really were truly good friends, and when one would prevail each year, the others would just really celebrate and be very happy for them. So I'm going to miss that, but it's probably my fondest memory of playing in the state amateur. It has grown, obviously, when you get great players like Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth now, that people start to identify with and say that, well, this really looks like a fun game to play, and you get a lot more participation. As far as changes go, I think the biggest change is the equipment. You know, I brought a couple of hickory shafted clubs with me today just to show, and there aren't many hickories going to be played out there in the stadium this week. They were all titanium and graphite, and that is sad in one way, because the new equipment, you can hit it so far that some of the older golf courses are now not the championship tracks they once were. But it's great in another way, in that the average player can play better with this equipment. It really does help. So those are probably the biggest changes that I've seen in the last 50 years.